You're watching us on our charter cable at 186, on our FCC broadcast channel over the air on Channel 6, on the World Wide Web, tvbigbear.com, and locally on your FM station at 87.7 FM.
Or less.
Welcome back to Good Day Big Bear. We're talking about real estate a little bit. One of the things that I get on a regular basis, you know, with all the marketing we've got out there, we get lots of calls and stuff and people just asking questions. And one of the questions I get is, how's your market for flippers? I just took a flipper class. You know, the people making the most money on flippers are the people teaching these classes.
Absolutely.
They are all over
the class
place.
always comes after the fact.
Oh my gosh, you get a free class.
Yeah.
Could win a free iPad.
Yeah.
You know, out of all the classes they teach, they all go into a recognition. If you read the fine print, out of all the classes this year, they're giving away a free iPad. And then you sign up for the cheap, because I go to them. I go to as many things as I can go to.
Yeah.
You know, the cheapest one I've seen was $375 to get the book. But if you wanted the personal coaching that went with that, it was another $1,200.
Yeah.
And some of these things are $15,000, $20,000, $30,000.
I get
for personal
on a regular
coaching.
basis. I get REO assignments, which are bank owns, and they're looking. What they're looking for now is trying to continue the kindling of this market that has been here and basically gone. As you know, and we both know very well, that our short sales and our foreclosures are way down to almost nothing.
Yeah.
So it's not
less than-
impacting the market for us anymore. The supply and demand is far more important and far more interesting. Now, if you can pick up something at a reasonable price, there's a lot of...
You got to know what you're doing.
Yeah, you do. And if you don't know the area in which you're purchasing this house, it doesn't matter what kind of gender you put on it, you're still subject to Zillow.
Which we'll talk about.
And other things that could keep you from making any money on that, and you've just invested your hard-earned money in a market that, you know, usually when things have gone for a long period of time, and then all of a sudden, you know, people are hesitant, and now they decide to jump in, those are usually the people that lose because it's about a day late and a dollar short.
Right.
And so that's kind of where we're at in that market right now.
Let's take a look at this. This comes from our national organization on flippers and what to look out for.
So the MBA, that being the Mortgage Bankers Association, says that the average size of a purchase loan began to outpace home prices, and that by December 2014, the average purchase loan amount has risen by nearly 32% and reached a peak of $294,900 on March 6th.
However, according to FHFA, home prices have only risen 18.5%. Now, are you getting this? Loans have gone up 32%. But home values have gone up only 18.5%, meaning loans are going up more than home values. The reason?
Home values have begun to slow their pace down quicker than buyers' appetite for buying homes. The funny thing is, buyers' appetite to buy homes is moving at a Loretta Lynch approval pace. Now, in case you don't understand that, it's.
You know, marketing in real estate is like trying to run the 100-yard dash in a pool of 30-weight motor oil. Valvoline nonetheless. Get it? It's slow.
All right, well, we understand this. The gap between home values and home loans is tightening, and the FHFA says that the reason is because folks buying expensive homes is slowing, which is affecting the findings because low-end homes have not only slowed, but in many areas, in many markets, they've actually regressed.
And according to Carl June, Larry June, really, Carl June should talk to Larry June about this statement. But Larry June of the NAR says the reason entry-level homes and low-end borrowers have slowed is because moderate credit borrowers are having trouble or being intimidated from applying for mortgages.
Carl June would have told Larry June, based on that statement, that we cannot change anything until we accept it. Condemnation does not liberate. It oppresses. Think of that for a second. Okay, back to the show.
They're intimidated? Are you kidding me? Come on. PC knows no grounds. Pull up your skirt, Larry. Borrowers aren't intimidated. In 2005, when we were doing 560 credit score loans, nobody was intimidated then. Low-end folks aren't buying homes because they can't. 760 credit scores are Siberian snow leopards or spotted owls for low-income folks. Not my opinion, it's just the facts. So property values aren't going up because people just can't get loans. Not that they're intimidated. I mean, let's look at it this way. What's fair market value?
That, Frank, would be the highest that a buyer is willing to pay and the lowest the seller is willing to sell.
Really? Really, Brian? Okay, look. Let's look at the buyer part of market value. Now, follow me on this. Is it really the highest the buyer is willing to pay? I think the answer is no. The more accurate answer is the highest the buyer is forced to pay, in my opinion.
Because think about this. If me and Frank are in a bidding war on a house, and I bid $200,000, and Frank goes $210, and I go $220, and he goes $230, and I go $240, and he says, I'm done.
I'm done, can't do it.
Well, I would have gone to $290. So is market value what I would have paid for it, or what I'm actually going to pay for it? The better answer is how far is Frank going to force me? He sets the market value, not me.
Interesting. See, on low-end homes, they're not going up because even in the situations where folks are buying homes, they're not pushing the values to what they will pay. They're pushing to what they must pay, which is a much lower figure.
So until we lower our standards and lending qualifications, and oh, by the way, guys and gals out there, if you're single and you're only dating, let's say 9s, lower your standards to say like a 6. You're gonna get a ton more dates, and the same is true for lending. Lower your standards and you're gonna get more borrowers.
Yeah, lenders are like ladies who date to Brad Pitt standards. But I mean, if you lowered your standards to this hot mess, you'll get more dates and lenders will get more deals and values will go up. That's the ticket. Get it?
So sure, the gap between home values and what we're paying for homes, it's tightening. And it's going to continue tightening because we're not going to see home values continue to go up in the future unless we change our standards with lending to ensure a healthy mortgage and real estate market.
Let's say I'm close to Brad Pitt standards.
Okay.
Guys, have a great day. Let us know your thoughts down below in the comments, forward share, put us on Twitter and Facebook, all that good stuff. Subscribe for free in your upper right-hand corner.
He's got
with email.
He's got a circus mirror in his house that he looks at.
And we'll catch you guys tomorrow here at the Natural Real Estate Post.
Chicken chow mein.
Whatever.
This is one of the videos that we watch on a regular basis, and as you can tell, it's predominantly about lending. Sorry about that. We'll have the flipper one ready for you in just a second. It's a quickie. But the challenge is what they're pointing out is loan values are coming up, but home values are not keeping track because it's still difficult to get a loan unless you're pristine. Score
Well,
760 is a little bit on the high
I'm
side.
finding out now in the lending side of it, which makes that really difficult, is the fact that when they announce these, the rates in the 3% range and the 4% range, but they're only going to get that on a $400,000 or a $500,000 loan.
Right.
If you're looking at a $150,000 loan, you're going to go in there, you're looking at 5 and 6%. Believe it or not.
Yes.
I mean, that is the way it works. Unless you're going for the bigger money, banks actually, if it's under $250,000, they're really not interested.
Right.
And it makes it really difficult. And the other thing is the appraiser. And I have to say, in the situation that I just came out of, for the very first time in the years that I've been doing this, I actually had an appraiser combat the bank and steadfast and actually brought up a point to the bank that there was this particular house had an addition that we could not find a permit for. It was built, but it was very professionally done, and it included windows throughout the whole house. So you know that there was something that you don't just do that with
Right.
nothing. And so the appraiser found that there's a possibility that it was built in the era when we did the switch over from county to city, and all that paperwork was transferred, and it might be lost. And the bank's criteria had nothing to say about yes or no on a permit. So it wasn't any of their requirements. So she put that back in their lap and she won the battle.
No?
and she stood fast for what the house was appraised for,
Very good.
which was good, within line, and she stuck up for what was right, and it was amazing. So there are people out there that are really working their way up that ladder to make these loans go better and keep the values in the home and get things to step up a little bit.
Right.
So it was great to experience that.
Yeah, and even though we are seeing slight increases in our prices here, we are seeing a little tick up in our sales. Last year, here we are. We're almost done with the first quarter. In our 2015, so far we've had 172 closings. This is as of this morning. The range is from 59,000 to 1,795,000. The average 298,000. We're averaging at $192 a foot, and we'll talk about that when we get to the Zillow portion of this thing. The averages. 2014, we were at 168 closings for the same day, so we're actually ahead of last year by a bit. And our price per square foot on average this year is $192. Last year, $184. So we're up $8 a foot, which is, what was that, 4%?
Up is up.
About a 4% increase.
It's the right direction.
Yes, and depending on, you hear realtors tell you this all the time, and everybody kind of poo-poos it. You got to work local. You've got to have a local realtor, a local lender, a local appraiser, because every market is different. I was reading an email yesterday from some national organization. It was a lender, and they said home prices, home sales, resales are down for the first quarter 29%. 29%. And of course, that's all there was in the headline. You had to really read into it to find where the stats were, and then you get one also from a national, and the home sales were.
It was actually on TV. We were up 20 some odd percent.
That's a 50-point spread.
Yeah. And in reality, it really, when they penciled it all out and started targeting areas, it ranged from 4% to 22%. So, instead of in general, it doesn't always apply to your neighborhood. So
you gotta drill down to get the specifics.
Yes.
And you can only do that by dealing with somebody who's local.
right.
Because you can't take such a broad stroke. It's not, I don't think real estate will ever be like cars.
No.
Because a car is a car is a car, no matter where it's at in the country. You could have rust in Florida or on the beach here that you wouldn't have in, I don't know, Iowa.
Something I learned in real estate that I think would be really great in the car business is have a salesperson for the buyer side.
Yeah, there you go. There's somebody representing you there that knows.
Now there's two halves, and it's a legit
There you
deal,
go.
just like real estate. I think it would just be awesome. I'd want to be that guy.
That's a good idea. We should start a new thing. We'll help you buy a car.
Yeah, but I've learned a lot from real estate based on that after being on the one side, for so many years. So, I think it'd be a great thing.
Yeah, because if somebody came in and said, "This is my agent," you'd go, "Oh no."
Yeah, I got to split the deal.
Now we're going to take a look at flippers. We'll be back in about, I think this is a minute and a quarter. Don't go anywhere.
Don't go anywhere.
Days when people made a huge chunk of change by flipping houses. Prices were going up so fast, someone could buy a home, spend a few months fixing it up, and resell it for a handsome profit. Then, almost overnight, everything changed. Property values fell, speculators found themselves saddled with overpriced homes, and flipping became a thing of the past. Or did it? Ironically, swelling foreclosures are now triggering a so-called second wave of flippers. Those with cash in hand are showing up at foreclosure auctions and snatching up bargains at rock-bottom prices, especially in areas hardest hit by the housing slump. The latest generation of flippers typically target three categories of buyers: those purchasing their first home, those looking for a vacation home, or people looking for rental income. While some have criticized flippers as opportunists, others see it differently. Industry experts note that flippers play an important role in helping to clear out the backlog of foreclosed homes nationally, as well as help stabilize neighborhoods threatened by an ever-growing number of abandoned properties. But flipping isn't without risk. Many foreclosed properties have fallen into disrepair. In some cases, appliances, countertops, and even plumbing and wiring have been totally stripped. Flippers may also discover delinquent homeowners association dues or tax liens on the property. Plus, they face the challenge of finding a buyer in a very competitive market. Nonetheless, flipping appears to be making a cautious comeback, but for reasons vastly different from those of not that long ago.
Welcome back to Good Day Big Bear. Okay, so flippers are back, sorta.
Sorta. If there's an inventory for it.
Yes, exactly, and the inventory really needs to be, as they pointed out. The challenge with a flipper is you're doing it to make money. Just
Right.
period. It's not an emotional decision. I don't love the house. It's just business.
Well, a flipper range is going to be what? Something under 150,000, maybe 200 at the very, very most.
If you've got
And
a
then
market
in a
for
right area.
350s, then
Yes.
a 350. But the
Exactly.
challenge is it's a percentage of your gross. What's your margin? How much money am I going to make?
But take that group of people that existed 2 years ago when the market was completely upside down
Mm-hmm.
and everything was a problem, and now they're all being funneled into one little section
Little
where
tiny bit of inventory.
we have no inventory
Right.
to accommodate that
Yeah.
many people. So would it be smart for you, who's never done it before, to get involved? Probably not. I would say that would be a horrendous risk. I had a friend of mine who wanted to get involved in that. It has taken over 2.5 months for him to get the house ready for the level that he thinks it's going to be at. And what's he going to make? 50 grand?
And he spent more money than he thought.
He's already
That's the challenge.
He already put $40,000 into it, and he might make 50.
Yeah. The challenge is if you buy something, let's be real simple, for 100.
Right.
Okay.
In an area that-
and if it was perfect, the house would sell for 140.
Yeah.
And you put 25 into it.
Right.
After you get commissions and whatnot, what are you going to make there? You're live on TV Big Bear. Good morning. We're talking real estate.
Hey, what's up, Doctor?
Good morning, Noel.
Hey, so we'll be together on Friday,
Yes, sir.
so Friday, Saturday, and Sunday show. But I wanted to say you haven't said anything about when you talk about real estate. You've got to talk about your own real estate office and that you move. So I think you should do a little talking about that because when you list your house for sale with Exit Real Estate, you better be prepared to move very fast. In fact,
Now.
the last house you guys just sold, you told the occupants, I believe, to pack all their belongings, get everything ready, and then
Right.
you list their house.
Then we put it on
Actually, I had to help him pack.
You got a buyer for them in about 14 minutes. So
I got a quick buyer for him.
Yeah.
And the houses, I'm trying to move it now. Get him out of there.
In fact, that's why we wear. Put your foot up here.
wonderful because
I can't.
You can't put your foot. Wear sneakers. 'Cause we be on the run there. Yeah. Well, we got a great show lined up Friday for Noel. Make sure you tune in for the weekend show. Liz Harris is going to be here from Supervisor Ramos' office. Tell us what's going on. There's some great stuff to bring. If you're a tourist in particular, make sure you tune in. We'll find out about things going on that are bring a lot of attractions to Big Bear. And Pam Scannell will be here from the chamber talking about events going on there, all kinds of stuff, golf tournaments. All kinds of great stuff. So make sure you tune into Friday's show. And we'll have an installment from the Warner Blank Vaults. So Noel's bringing us a cartoon. Right, Noel?
yes, in fact I am, and I always want you guys to call 1-800-552-BUGS to talk cartoons and talk animation. And anytime you want to talk anything about cartoons and animation, it's 1-800-552-BUGS. By the way, I stopped into Bearskins to get some nice spring weather gear. Boy, you've got a not great selection.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're getting in the spring stuff now.
It's time.
It's time. Well, our high today, this whole week is going to be nudging 60. Some days a little bit over, some days a little bit under, but still in the upper 20s at night. So it's still nice and chilly.
Good to have you back in town, Noel.
Bearskins.
Are you back yet?
Can you still hear me?
Yeah. Are you back in town?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Good to have you back.
That's why I just dropped into Bearskins. It's going to be
I thought that's what you said.
Yep. Yeah, it's Bearskins right across from the Copper Q on Pine Knot. Open later than most with all things Big Bear since 1992. From infant to 3X.
That's his plug.
There we go.
I'll see you guys Saturday.
I'll see you Friday, Noel.
Oh, wait a minute. I'll
Oh.
come Friday for the Saturday show also, okay?
Yeah. All right. Talk to you then.
Hey, that's all from Bye.
All right, bye-bye. Let's see, where were we? I forgot.
Yeah, we were right there. We were talking flippers.
Oh,
Not the
yes.
time.
And
If
so
it's the
if
time.
you spend $100 for the house, you put $125 into it. After commissions, closing costs, all that kind of thing, you're gonna make maybe 6 or 7%,
Right.
which is not enough of a margin. So flippers are going to foreclosures. We only have 7 on the market.
Yeah.
Total. In short sale. So
It's
so
a
if
different
you're-
world in our environment here in Big Bear, though. I mean, this was kind of like where everybody migrated to when they couldn't afford to do a flipper down the hill. This was our 100 and 200 range got sucked up very, very fast. As a matter of fact, I think every agent out there had a list of investors that were saying,
Sure.
that
Get something,
comes
call
up
me.
in this range, call me right
phone
now.
call, poof, gone.
And they had enough. Those guys are the professionals. They have enough sense to know they're going to make 30. Maybe 40,000 on their event. That's what they look for. So that's where they're at in the marketplace. They are the
biggest
pro.
key is controlling the cost to flip the house.
Right.
Which means you got a contractor in your pocket, or you are the
Exactly.
contractor.
Exactly.
If you're licensed and can get the permits and do the work yourself, so you can replace the windows, you got a permit to do that. You got to replace the exterior, you got a permit to do that. You got to replace the roof, you got a permit to do that. If you are the guy doing the work.
Well, the biggest problem
That
was
makes
is
a
a lot of
difference.
these people in the past. There was in the bubble, you could throw a coat of paint on a house and sell it again for another
Right.
20 grand.
Right.
But that isn't the case today.
And those houses are different. Those houses, a lot of these houses they mentioned in the video there, have been sitting there for a couple of years.
Yeah.
They tried to do the short sale for a couple, 3 years, and that didn't work. So they went
Right.
through the foreclosure, and that took a process. And now it's been sitting for a while. So some of these houses have been vacant for a considerable
Right.
amount of time. In fact, the city of San Francisco, which is still the hottest real estate market in the country. It has the lowest occupancy, the highest amount of the lowest unemployment. I mean, Google's there, Apple. I mean, there's a bunch of people in there.
Right.
Has actually started to enforce eminent domain to take empty houses, and it's a tiny little numbers compared to some place like San Bernardino. Let's say there's a few homes sitting empty in San Bernardino that have been there for a while.
And they are doing that as well. They're
Yes.
buying homes and knocking them down. A lot of the banks are knocking them down and selling the property, for new development because they just can't move those things. There
Right.
are a lot of housing tracts that were started. You can go to the desert side and see them. You can go down to the bottom of the hill and see them. You're not going to see much in Big Bear. But still, we had projects that were started that could not be completed because of the cost factor. And there was no avail. People just weren't interested,
Right.
so it brought them to a halt. So those things I saw a whole complex get torn down and start all over
Right.
again because that particular developer ran out of money and his
Yeah.
project couldn't be completed. So
Yeah.
a lot of crazy stuff out there, still a lot of crazy stuff out there. You just got to be very picky about what you're going to get involved in.
Yes, make sure it makes sense. And one of the best ways to do that, get a professional. Hire a contractor, hire an appraiser. Do your due diligence because if you look at a house,
Absolutely.
it's 100. I could sell it for 140. I'll make $40,000.
Ask anybody that's got their house listed, if they really got what they put it in there for.
And some of them have. There's still,
but it
but
still
it's
is a
not-
distressed market
Yes.
mentality. So people that come to look at houses think that people that are selling them are desperate, and
Right.
so you not only have to educate your seller, but you got to educate your buyer,
Mm-hmm.
and that's just depends on what side your agent represents.
Right. And speaking of that a little bit, we talked a little bit last week, kind of the agent's corner here, about the transition that Zillow and Trulia are making. They have now merged, as well as two fistfuls of other companies that have been acquired by this. And we got an update from our CRMLS. I forget what that stands for, but it's one of the MLSs.
It is the
that we use.
California Regional Multiple Listing
There
Service.
we go. That guy. And the contract makes sense.
It does.
It does because to a certain extent, From an agent side, it makes sense because the agents are now getting recognition for their listings, which is a big deal.
You know, cleaning up the act. I mean, again, like I said during the break, is we've been the devil's advocate for this whole Zillow thing only because of the Zestimates, because you find your listing that you listed here is now listed down in San Bernardino.
With somebody else's
Information
name on it.
is never accurate,
Yeah.
and it's always directed to an agent that paid for a slot in their
Right.
promotional program. Now, based on what CRMLS has done, they literally have laid out the issues that we had. So now the agent that basically puts that listing in will get the recognition on the listing when it's posted on Zillow, on Trulia, which is the biggest
Right,
issue.
and a link back to the website.
Exactly.
So from that side, it's looking really good, and that kicks in on April 7th, I think. So
Yes.
very shortly. One of the challenges they haven't addressed yet, which is the biggest challenge, I've had. I tell people, why don't you get a contractor to tell you how much you're going to put into this house, because you think you know the work you want to do, and get a real number. And then no, I got the number from Zillow. I know what it'll sell for.
Right.
That's still a bit of a challenge. And to show you that, I want to put something up. Jay, can you throw that graphic up there? We're just going to look at two areas that are within a couple of miles of each other. Now, these are sold properties so far this year. You can't really tell on the map, but they're fairly close. Can you show me the scale there, Shay, the second part of that? You can see that's 0.7 miles. So it's not even a full mile. That's your graphic. So if you go back to the big map there, Shay, these houses are all within 2 miles of each other.
Right.
Okay? So what Zillow does is they put a pin in the map and draw a 5-mile circle. So these would all fit within that circle. Sounds like a good comp, doesn't it?
To who?
A professional appraiser is going to balance these houses. In that market right there,
So what market did we show?
what
was
tell you
that-
just
what
tell
were
you in
the
just
areas?
a second. Hold on a second here.
Okay.
The average in there is $188 a foot.
Okay.
Okay, so that's the average between these 68 sold homes this area. The area at the bottom part of your screen, so that would be as you're looking at it to your left there, is priced at $222 a foot. That's Moonridge. That's the average price in Moonridge. The average price, is $279, priced at $222.34 a foot. The area to the right is Sugarloaf. Average price, $145 a foot. Now, if you live here or you've traveled around, you know there's a big difference between Moonridge on the lower left of your screen and Sugarloaf up on the upper side. But they're connected. There's actually a road that goes
Yep.
from one to the other.
Yep.
They're within 2 miles of each other. So if you live in Sugarloaf, instead of looking at $145 a foot, you're going to be looking at the blended average of $188 a foot. That's a big difference. That's $43 a foot difference.
Right.
Bringing you up in value. So if you're a seller and you think, I can buy a house here, fix it up, and I'll get $188 a foot. The real price there is $145. If you're in Moonridge and you're priced at $222 a foot,
You're going to be really upset.
because people are going to look at Zillow and go, oh, but it's only worth $188 a foot. Get a professional, get a local, talk to somebody who knows the market
And the
have
area.
them do the work for you. I'm John Wells.
I'm Dan Bathurst.
Tune in Friday for the show, and if you want to come see us at Exit Realty, the phone number is,
909-878-0522
and our new location right here in the village.
is 40623 Beaver. which
Right on
is-
Beaver and Badger. Come see us. Have a great day, everybody. We'll see you Friday.